Hi H, how you doing today?
Good, thanks. How are you, Justin?
Very few complaints. Um, so H, why don't you tell the world a little bit about what you do and how you are one of the hardest working men in San Francisco?
Yeah, I have a lot of jobs. I have my main job is my bar Elixir, which I've owned since 2003, so I'm on my 17th year now. And I started in the business over 30 years ago. Worked in about 18 different bars and restaurants throughout my career before I opened Elixir. And since opening Elixir, I was part of the early wave of cocktail culture and the revitalization of cocktail culture, which led to some consulting work that I started a consulting company called Cocktail Ambassadors, where I do work primarily for spirit companies, developing education programs, developing and executing education programs around the world, mostly around distillates and for bartenders. Then I have an events business for Elixir, which is beverage catering and cocktail events for corporate clients. And I have a cocktail mixer company called Fresh Victor that we make fresh juice based all natural refrigerated cocktail mixers. Originally consumer product, then for the trade, and now we've shifted back to relaunch our consumer product because of the current situation. All of our trade businesses dried up for the time being. So currently I'm working primarily on the bar and saving the bar in this environment, and we're pivoting the mixer company to launch our consumer product in the next few weeks.
So I mean, you and I have known each other and kind of in the same circles for many years, but this is the first time I can remember us actually having a chance to sit down and really kind of just talk. So let's talk about the elephant in the room.
We used to besides late night with a cigar in our hands.
Pretty much. Don't tell my wife. Yeah, it's a very interesting and I mean it's a truly devastating time that we're currently in, and I know everyone seems very bleak. Business seems disastrous. What's your strategy to get through this?
Well, I'm in a good but precarious situation where I own the property where the bar is, so I'm not facing the loss of a lease or that, but I do have a mortgage, and without revenue, it's gonna be tough to pay that. There's several things that bills that have to be paid. So my first move was to, as soon as the ABC allowed it, was to set up a delivery business and basically liquidate inventory, because one of the things we're known for with Elixir is our whiskey collection, and so I've got a lot of inventory and a lot of unopened backstock of stuff. So the first things to go were a lot of my private barrels of bourbon. Collectors swooped in and started buying a lot of it, and I just kind of let it go. I needed the capital more than I needed the whiskey. I can always get more whiskey. So we're still doing that. We're selling just about everything on a regular basis now. It's been a couple of weeks. So we've settled into we've built some new systems and settled into a bit of a routine to get the delivery business going out the door about 3 days a week. We're delivering on Monday, Wednesday, Friday now, doing cutoffs at 4 o'clock, and we're delivering up to 30 miles from Elixir in any direction. I got a few of my bartenders that are actually doing the deliveries. I set up the business. Shay, my general manager, is now managing the orders, taking the orders remotely from home and executing them all. And so basically the way we're doing it is people will email into, we have on our website, elixirsf.com, backslash whiskey dash, oh no, backslash elixir dash delivery. It's got how we work, and then I've got 2 PDF readers on there that'll show the updated, most recent inventories of what we have to sell. And I've paired a lot of products with my Fresh Victor's line to create cocktail kits or DIY cocktail kits, where a 64-ounce jug of one of our 7 current flavors and a liter or 750 of a spirit, and you've got 20 to 24 cocktails that you can make. which, is, as I've been saying, it could last you a week or two, or it could last you a day or two, depending on your consumption. But so, I've been adjusting to being a retailer, which I've never done before. At the same time, we built an online store on the website, which is elixirsf.com/shop. And I've got lots of merchandise that I've done over the years. Like this shirt was our 10-year anniversary shirt. I don't think I have any more of these, and they're not on the site, but I've got some old anniversary shirts, some hoodies, beer mugs, books, stuff like that merchandise that's, again, inventory on the shelf that I can move. And so I'm using an e-commerce site to move it, trying to be as active as possible in marketing and through social media channels to get that out, as well as doing podcasts and interviews. And we've gotten some press. I was in the Wall Street Journal. I was in Condé Nast Traveler yesterday. So getting the word out a little bit about that is a way to try to move all of that. But those are, there are ways of getting revenue in the door a little bit now, but they're not sustainable, and they're not profitable. They're basically freeing up capital that's been spent to buy stuff. And once that stuff is exhausted, then I'll have to buy more stuff, which is going to be tough to do if we can't pay our previous bills. The suppliers aren't going to allow you to buy more stuff when you haven't paid them for the last stuff from 2 months ago.
Yeah.
So, we'd like a lot of people waiting on the government assistance to pay some of those bills and keep things current, and then bring my staff back. It's hard to project where it can go without the freedom to interact and move and have real commerce. Otherwise, I just have a big piece of property that's sitting there doing nothing but accumulating bills. And if it gets that bad where the government says, okay, well, we can't just keep writing checks to everybody, they're going to have to regulate the banks and say, they've said that the landlords can't evict anybody, but they haven't said that the banks can't foreclose on your property. So at the same time, I've got the Fresh Victor business, which we've been working really hard on getting that out into retail, and we've got some deals lined up already. Draeger's supermarkets here in the Bay Area are picking up some of our products. They used to sell a lot of our stuff, so they're excited to see us get back into consumer product work, and then we're working on some other distribution channels to get the 16-ounce consumer pack out. And people are drinking at home. I think that's going to be an ongoing thing. So we're expecting that when this does come back around, that the consumer product line will be up and running and continuing, and we can go back to servicing our trade clients around the country. So that business will keep going, and working the finances on the bar is going to be a scary game after a while. But I'm working hard every day right now on that financial plan and trying to stay in tune with what's happening with the various sources of funds, whether it's loans, which of course nobody wants to get into more debt. We don't need more debt. We need debt forgiveness. We need grants. We need concessions, elimination of taxes, elimination of time-consuming, wasteful paperwork. My hope obviously is that this doesn't go on super long, and on the back side of it, everybody's talking about all these changes that are going to happen, all these things that we're realizing on personal levels and professional levels and economic levels. And I'm hoping that's going to filter through to bureaucratic levels as well, where things like the ABC will be hopefully redesigned, so it's not working like an archaic mafioso organization from 1934 like it has been the entire time I've been in business in California. So there's a lot of things that need to change, and hopefully the shakeout from all of this will be that I and many other people will still be in business. I'm sure we're going to lose a lot of people that don't have the resources or the knowledge or the will to keep going. But it's all pretty scary.
Yeah, it definitely is. I'm wondering what what kind of specific things would you like to see? What kind of specific changes would you like to see from the bureaucracy, from the ABC, and maybe even at the federal level? What would make your job going forward easier?
Well, there's a number of factors that have made the bar business very difficult in the last several years, especially in San Francisco. And to rattle off a few, I mean, the demographics have changed. The younger people are not drinking these days like they did when I was younger. They're not spending their disposable income on it like that. The emergence of these delivery apps has been killing already restaurant businesses, and from the level of the amount of money they take for that, I think in some cases 30-35% for them. But of course now in this environment, the delivery services are booming and essential, and so that's going to play out in a different way. Restaurants have thinner margins than bars, but we're all pretty thin. So one of the outcomes of this is going to be a shakeout of competition. There was a lot of competition prior to this. There were lots of liquor licenses, lots of people doing cocktails and good cocktails and great concepts. We just had, relative to the amount of partying and drinking and socializing and celebrating that was going on in San Francisco, I think it was just all spread a little thin. When I talk to colleagues around the country, that's not the case in every market. San Francisco's definitely been like that for some time now. And so a thinning of the herd a little bit will help those that survive to a certain degree. It's going to be a long recovery for any of them. But on a regulatory basis, things like this, this delivery business, putting a lot of time and effort into understanding retail, and it's not rocket science. It's not that hard, but I've set up new systems and I can improve those systems. And if on the tail end of this, I can continue to provide a retail business out of the same location, then that gives me another opportunity to make more revenue, a whole new revenue stream, and leverage the effort that's been put into creating new systems and new organization for the business. So, I have the room for my business to stock a bunch of stuff and be able to move it and stock unique stuff. And if I can sell retail, then maybe I can rebuild that inventory of specialty private barrel stuff that I've had, because I can move it. When you're buying, sometimes you buy a barrel of Buffalo Trace, say, and it's going to cost you, $4,000 or $5,000, but you buy a barrel of Four Roses single recipe that's going to cost you $8,500. I mean, it was 8 years ago, probably more like 10, 12 grand now, and and it goes up from there. So it takes a lot of capital to build up those inventories, and I was doing it 1 or 2 barrels a year at a time, and now I've got to liquidate it all. So if I can get into a retail environment where I can continue to sell, I can bring on more barrels, and I can get back into that. So there's that. There's the predatory and unjust ways in which the ABC has been working. You just ask any bar owner, and they'll have some horror story for you about the way that the ABC works, and they are unorganized. You can talk to just about any office of the ABC at any given time about what the law is regarding this, that, or the other thing, and you'll get a different answer from each office, and you'll get a different answer from the same person from 1 year to 4 years later. And when you ask them why that answer has changed, you say, well, it used to be this way. Why is it all of a sudden this way? The law hasn't changed. And it'll literally be like, yeah, but we're focusing on this now, and this is how we're treating this now. But at the same time, they'll tell you, well, don't complain to us. We didn't make the law. We're not lawmakers. We are here to practice the law, to enforce the law. And then they say, well, this is how we're enforcing the law now. It's different than the way we're enforcing the law before. So there's a lot of that stuff that's wrong with the ABC, and I hope that gets shaken up. And then the flip side of this is just the importance of the industry. I think government all these things that every time there's some legislation that comes along for the bar and restaurant industry, or in the distilling industry and in the alcohol production industry, there's all kinds of hemming and hawing, and this kind of decimation of the industry on a national level is going to make lawmakers realize, I hope, what the value of the industry is, not just in their personal lives, but the economic numbers behind it are going to be staggering. So if that becomes a shakeup and makes for a better legislative environment for the various rules that govern us, then that will help everybody on the recovery.
Sure. Yeah, this industry is definitely, when I say this industry, I mean, hospitality in general, hotels, restaurants, bars, nightclubs. I include even producers in that industry, whether they want to see it that way or not. The distilling industry, the wine business, even craft brewers are all providing a service and then providing a product. And they're doing it, to the consumer hopefully with a smile, because that's what the consumer expects. Hopefully there are some sweeping changes in the hospitality industry that will allow some easing. Not to get into the politics or anything. And I was talking to someone the other day about monetary easing and the way that the banks and a lot of industries have a much easier time with getting support. And it just seems like a lot of times the alcohol industry as a business is often demonized. And that's just, I don't know.
Still to this day, it's crazy.
Yeah. So, it's always driven me nuts. I've been a lifelong hospitality person. I wanted to be a chef since I was 5, went to culinary school, worked in restaurants throughout high school. Did Michelin star restaurants, did hot dog stands just because I wanted to learn, as much as I could. And then I fell onto the booze side and realized that I could get paid to drink and to talk, and it was a good time. So hopefully we can make some of those changes that you mentioned. How can the community, how can the industry help you and your team in this short term until the situation is over, and then let's go there.
Well, like I said, the biggest challenge for everybody's cash flow, and so we live on commerce, and so the best way that any bar can pivot in this is to figure out ways to sell something, and whether you're selling actual product or knowledge or experience, those are all ways that you can still engage, and our business is hospitality. And so even though we can't welcome people into our physical spaces and show them hospitality, everybody needs to continue to connect with not only their customers and their neighborhoods and their communities, but bar owners need to connect with their teams, keep their teams connected. And so, ways that the industry can help us are to help drive the commerce by sharing our posts, getting the word out to their friends. Of course, there's the legal issues that with their supplier, that they can't be spending money on one account and not another, all the tight house rules and all that. But that doesn't mean that they can't personally help put the word out and help with the marketing effort, a wider audience on virtual events, on product sales, on stores, on gift card sales. We have a GoFundMe campaign for the team, and that's where they can leverage their power, especially brand ambassadors who are on the road a lot, building big networks and getting the word out nationally or internationally. Because it's not, it doesn't have to be, even though we're 1,000 square feet on the corner of 16th and Guerrero, it doesn't have to be that 3-block radius from us that drives, 60 to 80% of our revenue as our local base. We can provide virtual events to people in Chicago or Des Moines or Miami or whoever wants to chime in, right? Including, Paris and Singapore, whatever. So the broader that word can get out about the things that we're doing, there's a lot of noise too, and there's a lot of bars and there's a lot of restaurants, and everybody's trying to do that. So it's hard to get all of that word out. But you get one or two people at a time to buy something or to attend an event, you've helped, and so that's a big thing. And that's really where we can get the most support for the business. The other side of it is supporting the staff, and I've seen some very good efforts from a lot of spirit companies as to ways that they're supporting the industry by making donations into things like the USBG National Charity Foundation and the Bartender Emergency Assistance Program, as well as a number of the other great industry charities. So that's been really great. Some of the spirit companies have been buying meals for people, giving for bartenders and servers and cooks and restaurant employees, and just helping feed them, because those people are, as paycheck to paycheck as anybody, and without a paycheck, they can't get evicted right now, but they got to eat, they got to pay their health care, they got to get help wherever they can. So that's supporting the business. The business is a business. If we can help drive revenue, I'm going to do everything I can to give opportunities to create revenue. But helping my team is the other side of it, where I want to make sure that they get through this, because I don't know. I hope that I can bring them back on when we get through the other side of this, but I don't know necessarily if I will, or if they'll move on, or what other things they have to do. Everybody's got to do what they have to do. As soon as we can get back to work, it's not going to be turn the light and there's a party that night. It's going to be a long, slow road to getting back to normal. So that doesn't mean open 365. We're not going to be open 365 when we reopen. We're not going to be open 3 p.m. to 2 a.m. every day like we have been. We'll probably have reduced hours, reduced days, and reduced foot traffic, which means even if they do get back to work, they're going to make less money in tips. So some of the other things I think that companies could do for the teams, the bartenders and such that are in that situation, is create new jobs. They can find ways to put people to work, help them shift in their careers, but potentially, that's something that I think might emerge from all this as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think things are gonna change a little more dramatically than I think a lot of people are expecting. So we're gonna certainly have some new normals. So, well, my friend, I will let you get some rest. Thank you very much for coming on. Don't forget to click all the links below for those of you who are watching, and support H and his team and over at Elixir and SF. And H, we will definitely smoke some cigars in happier times, my friend.
Yeah, I look forward to it. You can do all that now too. I keep telling everybody, you got to keep your head up. You got to stay positive. It's hard to sometimes, but if you let yourself get too down and sit on your hands and say you can't do anything, that's not the thing to do right now. The thing to do right now is to be energized, be creative, be original, and get out there and get some stuff done, because otherwise, you'll fall by the wayside.
Absolutely. All right.
Thanks, Justin.
Thanks.